we have the graph of a parabola that we want to figure out its equation. And so observe a couple things about it. Observe which way it's opening. Opens down. Observe where the vertex is, that's labeled for you at 1, 2, and any other relevant information. Here we know another point on this graph is at 2, 1. So it opens down. And according to my formula sheet, the general formula for a parabola that opens down is x minus h squared equals negative 4a times y minus k. And the vertex, which I know generally is hk, has ordered pair 1, 2. 1, 2. And this other random point P, just some random xy, was given at 2, 1. That's useful. Into that general equation that you wrote down at the beginning, you're going to substitute the values of 1 and 2 for h and k, and then 2 and 1 for x and y. And it's going to look like this. So x becomes 2, h becomes 1, that's squared, equals negative 4a. Y becomes 1, and k becomes 2. Make sure you understand where all those pieces are coming from. And then you simplify. And we're doing this so that we could figure out the value of a. A is equal to 1/4. And so if I wanted to know where the focus was, it would be 1/4 of a unit directly below the vertex. I don't really care, but that's where it would be. Because I need to know the equation, all right? So the fact that the focus is in that position is great, but not necessary. The equation now, go back up to your general equation and substitute the appropriate values for h, k, and a. Okay, so it's going to be x minus, and we said h was 1, square that, equals negative 4. We said a was 1/4, y minus, and k was 2, and I can do one more simplification. I'm going to get negative 1 and then y minus 2. And that's your equation of that parabola that you see in the picture. 64 is an application now. We have a satellite dish. Satellite dish is in the shape of a paraboloid of revolution. I showed you what that looked like in the first video for this chapter. You know what a satellite dish looks like. So it's a parabola that you spin on its vertex, and it creates this dish or bowl shape, okay? Find the location of the receiver, which is placed at the focus if the dish is 6 feet across at its opening and 2 feet deep. All right, I always suggest drawing pictures, so do your best. Draw yourself a picture. You can position this parabola however you like. I am most comfortable with my parabola opening up, so that is how I'm going to draw my graph. And what do we know? We know that the dish is 6 feet apart at the opening. And so that's from the vertex to either both outside edges. All the way across from the left side to right side is 6 feet. This is 6 feet across, all the way across. And so halfway from the vertex to one side is just 3, okay, because the whole distance is 6. The dish is 2 feet deep, so this is my center of the opening. Down to the vertex is 2 feet, 2 feet down. So this ordered pair can now be written as 3, 2. And this ordered pair can be written as negative 3, 2. Find the location of the receiver, which is placed at the focus. So somewhere inside here is the focus, okay? Focus. I can't assume that it's halfway up. Don't just say it's at 1, because it might not be. For a parabola that is opening up, the general form is x minus h squared equals 4a, y minus k. Now I made it really easy on myself. I made my vertex, my hk, I made that the origin. Don't try to get too complicated. Just leave it there at the origin. So now I have the general form of x squared equals 4ay. Quite a bit simpler. I'm trying to figure out a eventually. That's my whole goal, because a is the distance to the focus. So that's my end result there. I want to find a. Well, what else do I know? I know that there's a point that the graph goes through is 3, 2. I could have used negative 3, 2, but I like positive numbers. I'm going to substitute the value 3 in for x and 2 in for y, and that's going to allow me to find a. So A is equal to 9/8. You're pretty much done because you know that the distance from the vertex to the focus point is your A value. So now you can make a statement to say that the receiver is located 1 1/8 feet from the base of the receiver. Nope, of the dish. A searchlight is shaped like a paraboloid of revolution if the light source is 2 feet from the base along the axis of symmetry and the depth of the searchlight is 4 feet. What should the width of the opening be? So I'm going to start with a picture, just like I did before. I don't know. Do you want to make it more interesting? Let's just change it up a little bit. My searchlight is going to open this way. Okay. Actually, it doesn't go on forever, does it? There. What else do we know? The light source is 2 feet from the base along the axis of symmetry. My axis of symmetry is my x-axis. And the depth of the searchlight is 4 feet. That means that from here to here is 4 feet. And my searchlight, my light source, rather, is 2 feet. That part is 2. And the light source is at your focus. We can make that assumption this time. What is the width of the opening? We want to find this piece. So we know our vertex is at the origin because that's where I put it. I know that the entire depth is 4 feet. I know my focus is 2 feet up from the vertex. So my vertex is 0, 0. My focus is 2, 0. My graph opens to the right because of how I chose to draw it. And I know A is 2. I want to find this top point. That is my goal. Find that point. I actually know something about that point. I know the x-coordinate. I know the x-coordinate is 4, but I do not know the y-coordinate. All right, so I know x equals 4. I know that hk is 0, 0. I know that A is equal to 2, but I do not know y. I don't know the value of y. So that's what I'm going to figure out right now. Using that general form of a graph that opens to the right, I'm going to plug in everything that I do know, and the only thing left should be the variable y. Sure enough, the only variable left is the y. 8 times 4, 32. Okay, so I do know that y squared is equal to 32. If I solve that equation for y is the square root of 32. You could approximate that if you wanted to. Since it's an application, it makes sense to do so. Square root of 32, 5.66. We'll call it 5.7. We are in feet. That's the distance from the x-axis up to that point. That's the distance y. Y is 5.7. If I wanted to know the entire opening, honestly, come on. Okay, the entire opening is twice that. Which is about 11.4 feet.